All right, welcome everyone to the Western Sydney Careers of Tomorrow parent and student event. Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge that we're coming to you virtually from all different Aboriginal lands today. I acknowledge the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea and community. We pay our respect to elders past, present and emerging, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people here today. It is so nice to have you all here this evening, and on behalf of the Department of Education and CathWest Innovation College, I welcome you. My name is Jane Artup and I'm a Senior Project Officer for the New South Wales Education Department, working within the Regional Industry Education Partnerships Project, which supports connecting industry to schools. For the next 45 minutes, we'll be hearing from industry leaders, who you can see up on the screen now, from across Western Sydney, who represent current growth areas, industries where there will be an increase in job demand going forward. Representatives from health, construction, manufacturing, tech, startups, and you'll also hear about current trends in apprenticeships, also that you as parents, guardians, and current school students can make informed decisions about your future. This event falls deliberately within National Skills Week, and this year's theme is Rethink Your Ideas. Hopefully tonight will give you all new ideas around the skills that you want to build in the future. This session will be recorded, and post the event, we will be emailing you all the access to the recording, as well as a post-event survey. So we can gather your thoughts on tonight and your thoughts on what sessions you would like us to run in the future. We'll also send you an FAQ sheet, which will provide written responses to any questions we don't get to tonight. Below on your screen, you'll find a Q&A section. Throughout the session, as you think of them, please post all your questions in there. We have a number of staff who will be moderating chat tonight and answering questions as we go. And we will also save up a number of questions for the last 10 minutes to throw to the relevant panelists to respond to. Now we will kick off the main event, and I'll hand you over into the very capable hands of Judy Smith from CathWest Innovation College, who will be the facilitator for this evening. She will introduce herself and the panelists and manage what I'm sure will be a very rich discussion. Thank you, Judy.
Thank you, Jane, for your warm introduction. Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us here this evening for an event that has been designed for all the young people out there in Western Sydney. The aim is to accurately inform you about careers of tomorrow and instill confidence after the many challenges our workforce have experienced over the past 18 months. My name is Judy Smith from CathWest Innovation College. Our boutique school is in the heart of Western Sydney, and we aim to provide pathways to students to pursue their career interest areas. Uniquely, our students come to us with an interest and we tailor a pathway and curriculum to suit their needs. Typically, there are two pathways, trade and inquiry. This event is a fantastic opportunity to bring together educators, industry, parents, and our future workforce. Our industry speakers are from different industries which have been chosen as future job growth opportunities. So each speaker will identify how has COVID impacted their industry, what emerging jobs and opportunities can we expect in Western Sydney, and how can young people prepare themselves. Our first speaker tonight is Jason Sultana, the Executive Officer for Apprentice Employment Network. Jason is an expert in recruitment in apprentices and trainees. Jason is here to tell us about the trends and emerging opportunities of apprenticeships and traineeships in Western Sydney. Welcome, Jason.
Thanks, Judy, and good evening, everybody. As Judy has introduced, I'm from the Apprentice Employment Network. The Apprentice Employment Network represents what they call group training organisations. So you can be employed two ways. You can be employed either directly by a business, or you can go through an organisation called a group training organisation who employs apprentices and trainees and then places them with host employers. And the benefit of that is a group training organisation actually provides a simple, low-risk solution in hiring and managing apprentices and trainees and get higher rates of completion. Now, one of the things I've been asked to talk about today is the impact of COVID and what's actually happening around apprenticeships and traineeships. The good thing is that apprenticeships and traineeships will always be here, even during the darkest times of COVID. We have some great opportunities that are happening, and we have identified in Western Sydney alone, there's numbers of industries, particularly on the back of the things that the federal government are implementing regarding incentives that are available. So we know for a fact that the automotive industry, the construction industry, electrical, childcare, even simple white collar in business and IT traineeships, they're all in high demand, and they will always be in high demand. So there's opportunities available there. Traineeships and apprenticeships are available in over hundreds of different qualifications. So if you think about a job, there's always an apprenticeship or traineeship that's available. One of the things I do say to people is always to keep an open mind in relation to the opportunities that are available. If you're interested in carpentry but can't get in, think about joinery, cabinet making, frames and trusses. There's always opportunities there. Now, when we talk about opportunities, one of the things that we also do, similar to universities, is they make early offers. So there's group training organisations right now advertising for the early next year. So there is opportunities now to even secure your a position for next year before you do a HSC in year 12. Or if you're contemplating going from year 10 to a year 11, there is school-based traineeships and apprenticeships, which will be discussed during our session tonight. One of the things I can give you a bit of advice on is if you're looking for opportunities, start to investigate some of those careers that you'd like to do and some of the industries you want to work for. There are some great programs that are available over the summer targeting school leavers, one particularly that the Department of Education through Training Services New South Wales is called the Summer Skills Program, which focuses on 16 to 24-year-olds to give them some introduction courses to potential apprenticeships and traineeships, particularly through group training organisations. So hopefully that helps people understand, and I'll be available for any questions during later tonight. So Judy, I hope that helps. I think Judy, you're on mute.
Thank you, Jason, for your insights. It's great to hear the support of government and industries to grow our apprenticeships and traineeships in the future. Yeah, and there will be some more questions later on, Jason, as with the Q&A. Our next speaker is Joanna Nolan, New South Wales Training Manager at CPB Contractors. Her expertise is in training opportunities within the infrastructure, construction and transport industries. CathWest are very fortunate to have 25 school-based trainees in civil and business with your growing organisation. Welcome, Joanne.
Thanks, Judith, appreciate it. So everyone knows me by Jo Nolan, and yes, I'm the New South Wales Training Manager from CPB, and I'm a construction worker, and I love my job. CPB Contractors is an Australasian construction company of the CIMIC Group. We are the largest infrastructure construction company in Australia. We cover areas like rail, road, tunnelling, defence, building and resources infrastructure. A number of our projects that you may know of already that are currently underway are Parramatta Light Rail, the early works at Western Sydney Airport, which you can see behind me, WestConnex M4, M5 and the current Rozelle interchange, Sydney Metro Northwest, and I'm sure some of you have already been on the driverless trains out there, and obviously with Sydney Metro that's definitely expanding. Pitt Street Station is one of those new expanding rail lines, as well as our line-wide project, which is actually building the rail line for all of the Sydney Metro. We also have another project called the Northern Road Upgrade, which is one of the main artillery roads that will actually go to the new precinct at Western Sydney Airport. Look, COVID-19 has impacted our industry the same as all industries, and it has made us rethink and make changes. But due to the major infrastructure that's planned over the next 10 years, our industry is just going to grow and grow, and we are strong. Within the next 10 years, it will be the biggest infrastructure boom probably in our current history. With increased vaccinations, we expect by the end of this year or early next year that things will be back to normal, and we will all be looking for new workers. So if a career in infrastructure and construction is for you, then certainly keep listening. So when we are back to normal, we will still have very strict COVID-19 protocols in place, which is to keep all of us safe and obviously to follow regulations. Job opportunities in Western Sydney are huge, especially in the construction and infrastructure industry. You'll see a slide pop up here in a moment, and that slide tells you about the next projects to be awarded. So in Western Sydney Airport Precinct, between now and 2023, there will be 14 new major projects for Sydney Metro, for RMS, and also for Western Sydney Airport. And you can see that's a lot of work, and most of that has to be finished between now and before the airport opens in 2026. So that's the biggest boom that in one area that we will have seen, well, in my lifetime, that's for sure. So construction opportunities are vast, and they're not just trade roles. Like Judith said, we have currently 25 school-based trainees through CathWest, and some of those are actually office and administration roles. So we currently have 10 civil roles across 3 of our major projects as well. We also offer undergrad roles. So if your career path is a university career path, that's fantastic. If you want to go to university and do study engineering, then there's an opportunity for you to come and work with us part-time. Also, once you've finished your degree, there's an opportunity for you to join our award-winning graduate program, which is a 2-year program that you can participate in after you've finished your degree. We also are very fortunate to have one of our trainees from CathWest who has been awarded this year Regional Trainee of the Year, and he will contend the New South Wales Awards next month. Congratulations and good luck, Axel. CPB are very passionate about careers for youth, and over the years, we've worked with many organisations to increase awareness for careers in construction, and hence why we are definitely supporting this activity today. Over the next few months, whilst COVID restrictions are still in place, Jane and I will be working together on some construction career information sessions and a couple of interactive Q&As. We'll have some of our graduates, some of our trainees and our engineers speaking at those Q&As. But wait for it. Next year, when we're almost back to normal, we'll have some really exciting things that we want you to participate in, like try a trade, site and project tours, school information sessions, pre-employment programs, and Jane will be working with your career advisors to find out how else we can help. As Jane said earlier, she'll be sending out a survey at the end of this webinar. I strongly encourage you, if your daughter or son is interested in a career in construction, please complete the survey and of course send it back. And then we will definitely include you in the career activities that we have planned. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne, for those insights about those exciting construction and infrastructure projects for Western Sydney. This is very hopeful for our future employment opportunities. And I really, this is fantastic, all these training opportunities. And we are very grateful too. Thank you. Dave Pengelley is with us today from Salesforce, where he leads a diverse team in IT, including designers, developers, and more. Salesforce is the global CRM leader, empowering companies to connect with their customers in a whole new way and be successful from everywhere. Welcome, David.
Excellent. Thank you, Judy. So at Salesforce, we've been really fortunate through this pandemic because it's actually made our software more relevant than ever. Our core business is CRM. I saw a request on the chat around breaking down acronyms. That stands for Customer Relationship Management. But what does that mean? Now, you may have seen some of our advertising during the Olympics with the character in the raccoon suit, that one there. Their name is Astro, by the way, that we bring customers and companies together. And at a time when companies have had to pivot how they engage and interact with their customers, as they've had to connect their employees from anywhere, many people having to work from home for the first time, and they've had to go digital in order to service their customers, potentially for the first time as well. Salesforce has been there and able to help them. As well as pivoting to focus on how we can make our customers more successful from anywhere, Salesforce was able to innovate and create new products to help fight the pandemic, including contact tracing and vaccine distribution management. So in technology, we were able to really work towards how we can use our solutions for the greater good through the pandemic. And we saw growth in our organization through that. Our workforce has been working from home since March last year, and we're moving to a future of primarily flexible working. This means when we're able to go back to our offices that are based in the city, it won't be 5 days a week like it used to be. It'll be less often, but with more deliberate purpose around meeting with people and collaborating. And that's really great for people like me with a long commute. I'm out here in Riverstone, and that's a fairly long hike in and out of the city 5 days a week. So I've been enjoying a lot more time at home with my family. And that's what the future is going to look like in a lot of these sort of traditionally city-based technology roles. A lot more flexible working for people, making it easier to work in these companies, no matter where you live. This growth has created a lot of employment opportunities, both within Salesforce and also more broadly in what we call our ecosystem. It's predicted by an analyst firm called IDC. I'm not sure what the IDC stands for, but they're a big global firm that does lots of research, that globally 4.2 million new jobs will be created in the Salesforce ecosystem by 2024. So as far as a growth industry, there's a lot happening here. And what do I mean by ecosystem? Like I keep saying that word. When customers buy Salesforce, they typically need some additional services to configure it, customize it specifically for their business to make sure they get the most out of it. And there are many companies who specialize in doing this. And as there's more customers using Salesforce, there's more demand for people with the right skills and the knowledge to tailor it and customize it. It's also good to point out, kind of like Joe mentioned around, that's not all construction jobs in construction. When it comes to jobs in technology, a lot of people think it just means techie people that are really good with computers, people like software engineers and computer scientists. But it's so much broader than that. Just like most businesses, technology companies need people in sales and marketing, which includes things like social media too. People with finance and accounting skills, people with legal skills to review contracts, and HR people to look after employees. These are all critical parts of our business, and the whole business doesn't continue to move forward without these broad sets of skills. My team at Salesforce is called Q Branch. It's a bit like James Bond with a special internal team that works with our sales teams to showcase the best of what Salesforce can do for customers. And today, as mentioned, I have developers that can code. I've got designers that can make great visual assets. I've got storytelling specialists, so that way we can really resonate our product to what customers need. And we're adapting to this new world of working remotely by now hiring video people, editors, producers that can capture our stories in compelling videos that we can send to our customers to reduce these online meetings, to reduce the Zoom fatigue and maximize impact in this sort of visually driven YouTube and TikTok dominated world. So the roles are diverse in technology. How can the youth of today and tomorrow prepare for roles like these? My general advice broadly to job seekers is attitude and presentation skills are of vital importance, especially in the Zoom first world of video calls. Learning how to speak clearly and present to a camera, being aware of your body language, it's all hugely important. I'd also say if you get an interview, do some homework on the company and the role. Show the interviewer you care. And lastly, prepare a few questions, and not how much does it pay or when will I get promoted. Just something simple like, what does a typical day look like, can really show an interviewer that you're being thoughtful about the role and being active in your interest for it. More specifically on the Salesforce side, if you're keen to learn about developing Salesforce skills and getting into the ecosystem, you can head to our Trailhead site. I believe the link will be posted in the chat here. And there we have hundreds of free interactive learning modules, hands-on, where you can go and learn Salesforce skills for free. You can start tonight. And there's so many inspiring stories of what we call trailblazers, people who have blazed trails in their lives, their communities, and their companies. They've changed their careers, they've changed their trajectory, and they've been able to innovate and grow. And it all started by learning free skills at Trailhead. Thanks, Judy.
Thanks, David. Just a quick question. Would you say there's a real skills shortage in the IT industry at the moment?
Yes, it's amazing. And when I'm looking for those technical developer people, nearly 100% of them are immigrated people from other countries. Like, we actually do not have a large number of heavy technical people coming out of the Australian school system. So if there's definitely a gap from that deeper technical side as well.
Definitely. And would you recommend also the whole micro-credentialing in IT and you know, learning yourself, building skills that way as well?
Yeah, I think the skills, there's so many skills. IT is such a broad thing, whether it's tech support, hardware, server administration, through to cloud software programming, things that sort of Salesforce more focuses on. I've touched on all of it through my career. But I think building skills where you can, making sure they're relevant skills and thinking towards tomorrow's skills, not just yesterday's skills, and which can be tricky sometimes, but there are more and more free resources out there like Trailhead and many of our other peers in the industry are now getting on board. We call it democratizing learning. We want to make it fair and available for everyone, no matter their circumstance, to be able to upskill and trailblaze.
Great, thank you. There was one quick question in the Q&A about graduate programs. Do you have graduate programs at Salesforce?
We do. The details are on our website. I can get more
Fantastic.
details to put through in the pack afterwards.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Dave, for all that inside information, real opportunities available. Thank you. Our next speaker is Catherine Ivanfy, clinical nurse educator at Westmead Hospital. Her expertise is in the intensive care unit, clinical nurse educator of neurology and gastroenterology. Welcome, Catherine.
Hello, thank you for having me tonight. So I don't know if you've heard the news today. Westmead's been in the news a little bit. So what I'm going to focus on is a bit about nursing, and then I'm going to talk about some allied healthcare workers and other areas that opportunities have now increased. So as you'll be very well aware, COVID has impacted our industry by the increased burden on the workforce in the healthcare system. Western Sydney Local Health District has opened multiple wards now to accommodate these surges of COVID patients. And obviously these patients need nurses to look after them. So that's why we need more nurses in our industry. But we want people that actually want to look after these patients. So nursing is not one of those, or any healthcare job isn't one of these areas where you go in there for the money and all that other things. You actually need that drive and you want to help people. So that's really important within our industry. For my particular job, educating people online has now become a platform that we can use. So I'm not relying on nurses or other healthcare workers coming onto the shift. We can actually do these online learnings at home, and that just gives them a bit more rounding. And so we can follow up with their learning and use those opportunities as well. Career opportunities within Western Sydney have developed because we now have a mass COVID vaccination clinic. I don't think a year ago we would have thought that they would have employed an extra 100 nurses to vaccinate all these people. And so this doesn't just require nurses, it needs doctors and other support staff within this industry as well. And within the healthcare setting, there are other jobs outside the acute healthcare setting, such as pharmaceutical representatives and product specialists. So that's another area that we don't really talk about in healthcare that much, but with the training, depending on which area you go into, there are other avenues of job specialties. In regards to other allied health, like occupational therapists and physiotherapists, I've talked to my colleagues and they said they're doing a lot of meetings via telehealth now, which actually allows them to work from home. So this is something very new to that industry there. I know physiotherapists and occupational therapists are generally a face-to-face kind of industry, but now they're able to coach their patients through telehealth, which is quite good. And I know that some more jobs being created around October and February within these industries there. Within the community, there are more positions being created as well. And this also includes case managing and rehab consulting within the community. And this also goes into nursing homes and also group homes as well. With the COVID pandemic, I know there is a lot of strain on various industries with mental health. So there is an influx of clinical psychologists and also social workers. And this pushes the mental health aspect and mindfulness. And that offers not just for an avenue for people to talk about how COVID has impacted their lives, but it also offers an area for the clinical staff at the hospital. I know I've been offered it sometimes to talk to clinical psychologists, but also the general public to phone in and actually have strategies to assist during COVID. So that's also created another area within our hospital and in the community. Social work and counselling has actually increased as well. So we're actually having to now counsel family members who aren't able to visit their loved ones in hospitals. So we've got those restrictions in place at the time. So our social workers are assisting for new ways of communicating, including video calls and providing resources to get the patient's families through this difficult time. And they have now within Western Sydney developed a social work pool to help people with COVID in the community as well, and better support the community. So again, there's another area that jobs have been created. We have seen within healthcare that it's evolving and how to more efficiently look after patients and which systems are now available. So I think that all the systems were there at the start before COVID, but it's actually taken COVID to expedite this. So this has improved communication through interfacility health professionals, so talking to our health professionals in different areas using platforms like this to actually move forward. We're actually using telehealth a lot more. So even today, one of my clinical nurse consultants said that out of the 15 patients she saw, only one was face-to-face. The rest of them were via telehealth, because that was quite interesting. And we're seeing a greater flow in patients. So they're able to see more patients because they're not having to wait for the patient to arrive, and that's holding these delays up. And these are actually just new ways of working within health. Within Western Sydney, we are seeing a greater ageing population and increased life expectancy. And this again increases job opportunities for nurses and other healthcare professionals because we are looking at more facilities for the elderly who require increased healthcare needs. There's also the introduction of the National Disability Insurance Scheme, that's changed the landscape of people entering healthcare facilities prematurely, and we've found a lot of job opportunities in that as well. And that again, there can be case managers involved in that. So at the moment, the healthcare system is really relying on this training and this onboarding of the next generation, which is now supported by the government. And we think this is a great opportunity to move forward in lots of ways of working, which have now become norm. So talking via telehealth and providing a more rounded healthcare. And we can see this in our next generation. So we can't wait to train them and get them onboarded so they can all join us. And I'm sure there'll be more functional healthcare professionals with the use of telehealth now than we've been kind of struggling through it a little bit, but I think they'll be more rounded. So it's really exciting to see what's going to happen in Western Sydney with healthcare over the next little bit. Great. Thanks, Judy.
Thank you, Catherine, for a reality snapshot, and thank you on behalf of the community, for the whole health system, for being the heroes of this pandemic. We really, really appreciate from the bottom of all our hearts. So thank you. And thank you for your time. I know your time is very valuable and you must be very tired managing that. So we appreciate your time that you're giving up for us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move over to Raymond Sanchez, who is our General Manager of Robycs Technology. Raymond represents the advanced manufacturing industry and has expertise in delivering large, complex projects for Australian and global clients. So welcome, Raymond.
Thank you, Judy. So yeah, I'm the CEO General Manager of Robycs Technology. And so what we really do is we develop machinery, is the backbone of the economy. So what I'd like to say is that we build robots and machinery that produce machines to actually build food and manufacturing products that you buy in your groceries and in shopping centres and all that. So how has COVID impacted our business? Well, actually, during the pandemic, it's actually increased a lot. It's increased in terms of a lot of people are using robotic services because they can't go to workplaces at the moment due to restrictions. And now they're looking at robots to have an alternative solution of humans to do the processes. So what that means is, for example, if you're stacking bags of chips onto a pallet, a human person would be doing that currently, but now they're looking at robotic systems to actually put that in place to actually, so a robot can do that instead of a human. Manufacturing is actually a growing trend in Australia. So we see that it's actually booming. The robotic trend is growing. Companies are starting to look into automating and streamlining their processes to keep up with demand, and also to require to get into the manufacturing sector is, a trade skill, say being an electrician or a machinist, people who are welder, people who can work with their hands, people that manufacturing sectors and people that have high demand and need for that sector. So what I would encourage is that people who have a lot of creative skills, it would be good to get into a trade, because having a trade always means that no matter what happens during the economy, you can always pick up your toolbox and you can just walk down the road and you'll be able to create something from nothing, and that offers value to people and to companies. So, and also that if you also are more driven, business driven, you can also start your own business and actually generate an income from that avenue as well. So yeah, thank you, Judy. That's all I've got to say to it.
Excellent. Thank you, Raymond. And just a little plug, Raymond actually works in our school at CathWest Innovation College. He's working with students in designing and manufacturing a cold press juicer that we will hopefully go to market at some stage. So yeah, fantastic work you do, Raymond. Our final speaker today is Paula Mills, founder and CEO of the Academy of Entrepreneurs. Paula is the first nationally accredited incubator. She is passionate about assisting entrepreneurs to flourish. So welcome to Paula.
Thank you, Judy. Thanks. Honoured to be here and be able to contribute. I thought everyone was bringing slides, so I built slides for today. So I hope it's okay that I'll be sharing my screen, because I heard you guys talking about slides the other day. So I built all these beautiful slides. So cool. Let's get started. So disruption is happening absolutely everywhere in every industry in every country. And we saw that even pre-COVID. This is how a car looked 100 years ago. And this is how a normal car looks these days. This is a phone 100 years ago. And this is a phone today. And the reality is that now we no longer apply for jobs. We need to create our jobs. So if you're working in, even if you're working as a nurse, you need to find solutions every day. If you're working in the trade space, or if you're building something out of robotics, what Raymond was talking about, you can become your own boss. But even if you're working for someone, you need to find solutions and reinvent your job every single day. And why is that? Because the population grew faster than jobs due to automation and systems and technology. So this is something that's been happening since the year of 2000. But today I come with really good news. With a simple internet connection of as little as $39, it gives you the possibility of connecting with everyone. So it's all about us rewiring our mindset on how can I make the most and how can I connect with everybody around the world. So a lot of people look at 7.6 billion people and just go, oh my God, 7.6 billion people I'm competing with for a job right now. And we, from Academy of Entrepreneurs perspective, we just go, wow, there's 7.6 billion people that could be buying your products and services. So it's all a question of mindset. And I pulled these stats in the last 24 hours for us. So it's estimated that 50% of the workforce will be business owners and freelancers. This is not a recent stat. The stat came actually 10 years ago. But these are really recent stats. So e-commerce was predicted to grow by 4%, but obviously due to all of the changes we've had in the last 18 months, it grew by 18%, which is an extra $4 trillion in sales in the last 12 months. 63% of shopping is happening online, and 50% of consumers shop more on mobile than in store. 1 billion people are using Instagram every month, and 72% of people are reporting that they're making a decision based on a post they saw on Instagram. And Instagram is a free tool for all of us to promote our products and services. And these are other very interesting facts. There's 13 million people in Australia currently that are working, and there are 2.4 million active business. That means that the ratio of person to business is of 5.4. So even when you are working for someone, you're normally going to be working in a small team in Australia. So you need to think and act like an entrepreneur. You need to have the attitude. And this is what a student looks like. This is what an employee looks like these days. We all have our mobile and our computer. We work from bed, from a desk, from anywhere, from a cafe if it's COVID safe. But it's all about the boss your future and finding solutions. And you're probably going, okay, Paula, how do I succeed? So whether you're a student or a parent or a teacher today listening to us, what I always say is you need to do what you love, but can combine it to these 4 pillars. So you see, what is it that you absolutely love doing, that you're really, really, really good at, that you can get paid and the world needs? So it's not enough just to love it or just to be great at it. You need to absolutely love. And when you do that, that's called the ikigai. And this is your best opportunity as a career, as an entrepreneur, so you can continuously create impact. And I always say businesses exist not to make anyone rich or successful. It's about you fixing problems in the world. So right now we have more problems than ever. And if you don't know where to start, just go in the news and get anything that is negative and just go, the more bad news there is, the more problems there are, the more business opportunities there are for you to solve, have a purposeful life and make an impact in the world. So the number 1 skill, which is something that Judy and I talk about every time she calls me and every time we are together for coffee, we talk about it. It's emotional intelligence. That is the most important thing for each and every single one of us to further develop on a daily basis. We can all get better at it. And we need to put this into schools, into students, into parents' mindset, into teachers. Because we've been trained to think that success is linear, but that's not the reality. This is what life looks like. But if you're working on something that you absolutely love, that you're good at, and you see the light at the end of the tunnel because you want to create an impact, no one can stop you from succeeding. So the trick is literally to focus more and more on getting better at the things that you absolutely love. Because the way that our brains are trained, our brain can achieve anything it wants. It's our biggest asset, but it also can be our biggest enemy. So it is said that a normal person has around 80,000 thoughts a day, but out of those 80,000 thoughts a day, 80% of them are negative and 95 are the same as the day before. That means that your brain will always have a negative mindset, but if you can hack it through emotional intelligence to be positive, you develop a growth mindset and you will find solutions. And as I was saying, now there's more opportunities than ever. So I'll share some little case studies. This one I actually found last night when I was putting together these slides. These 2 teenagers in high school have put together a puzzle business during lockdown last year and were making $70,000 a month. Wow. Another example, this business actually started about a month ago here in Sydney. And it was started by 2 girls over in the eastern suburbs in Bondi, in the Bondi area. And they've literally created a business called Lockdown Love Sydney, which is a subscription or just a gifting business for people that are struggling throughout the lockdown. So someone that you know they're not doing too well, you can buy a gift for as little as $20 to $30 and you can make them feel better. And they are making hundreds of dollars on a daily basis. This is a business that I've been mentoring recently. We made 1 post on TikTok and received 1.1 million views. And this girl has made over $2 million selling pajamas during lockdown. So the steps is for you to just rewire your brain to be an entrepreneur. And I'll share these slides afterwards with you guys. And I've also created on the pack that Jane will be sharing with you guys, a toolkit with a video attached on how you can turn any problem into a business with $0, because you don't need money to start a business in Australia. So thank you so much.
Oh, Paula, thank you so much for inspiring us about how to start your own business. And thank you for those resources that you're providing for our participants here tonight. I really do apologise. I know we've got 5 minutes left to this webinar. So we're going to go over to the Q&A, and I know we're just going to do a summary, but I just wanted to add to all the questions that you put in your survey have been put together on a document, and we've answered them. So if there are things that you wanted answered, we have answered them, and we'll email them out to you tomorrow. But I might just go over to you, Jane, and there might be a few quick questions to some of the panelists for the last 5 minutes.
Sure. We've had the panelists be really active on the Q&A, so it's been good. We've been able to answer quite a few of the questions along the way. And just further to Judy's point there, Jody's made a few really great comments in the chat bar, which we are appreciative of. And we have posted that reference that Judy spoke about in the chat there. So you have got access to that now, which is all the questions we got from the registration. We've addressed those. So you have easy reference, but we'll also send it tomorrow with the survey. Our biggest representation, this might just be a quick question through to the panelists, biggest representation of attendees is the Year 10 cohort in tonight's event. And there was quite a few questions that came in before around they've doing or have just completed their subject selection and about to go into 11 and 12. And if I could get a response from each of the panelists just around the subjects you feel from subjects from high school that you feel you draw on most within your role now, just to give a bit of an insight for each of the cohorts, because we've got a great cross-section of jobs represented here. And I might go first to you, Raymond, for a reply from manufacturing.
Okay, that's actually a very interesting question. I would choose, ironically, I would choose the more design, people who had graphic design or the very creative flair type skill sets. I would be going for that. And you think that engineering would be mathematics and science, and yes, there is elements of that, but solving a unique problem that's never been solved before, you have to come from a different mindset. Like Albert Einstein said, you can't solve the problem using the same thought process.
Setting the bar high for the students with Albert.
Yeah. So yeah, like anything that stretches, think outside the box is probably the subjects that I would be looking for, because you can always learn mathematics, you can learn science. But the way the future of engineering is going, it's all virtual. Everything is drawn. You have to transfer what's in your head onto a screen in a 3D model so that other people can see it. And that's where I feel that the skill set is needed. And you work in a team, like, and this is what I love about it. You work like our team, our creative team. We throw a problem in the middle. And it's amazing what people come up with solutions in the toilet, or taking a shower. It's like, I would never have dreamt of like thinking of solving this problem like that. And people pay a lot of money to solve problems. So, and I'm just looking from a business perspective, but yeah, like that, that skill set is highly valuable in the business workplace.
Thanks, Raymond. And we might go to Paula next, because it kind of links in, and then just get quick responses around the subjects, for 11 and 12 that you draw on. Thanks, Paula.
I agree with what David was talking about, the power of communicating, because you need to know, how are you going to change the world? If you can communicate your thoughts and your vision, you can attract and you can build your tribe and get ambassadors to jump on board and help you grow and create an impact. Because you can have the greatest idea in the world, if you can't communicate, or if you could have produced the best robot or the best idea for the best robot, but if you can't communicate and convince your boss or the investor or the community, you're not going to go anywhere. And I think this is a big mistake that a lot of people make. They just focus on doing the work and they forget to communicate and build a strategy. Another thing I'm a really big fan of is think big but start small. So the whole idea of agile and taking steps forward. So I think anything in the design thinking, communication, emotional intelligence, connecting, understanding people's needs, it can change the world. And it's also very fulfilling because you see an immediate impact.
Excellent. Thanks, Paula. And David, I'll go to you next.
I was going to lean on something Paula said. I'm thinking about as far as businesses and being an entrepreneur and intrapreneur, subjects like economics, like I lean on and think about macroeconomic supply and demand and what drives people to make decisions and purchasing decisions. If you're trying to sell something, understand what drives and motivates them. And so economics from a high school point of view are probably reaching the Wayback Machine for occasionally. And even though I never wanted to actually be a programmer, the computing subjects I did and the degree I did play in, because when you have to program something as a solution, you have to break it down into its component parts. And to Raymond's point around how do you solve a problem, being able to break the problem down into component parts and structure them logically, that logical thinking that computing and programming teaches you to do and forces you to do those sort of subjects really help you think about how you can do anything.
Excellent.
I had to go back to high school. That's it.
Would all like to do that. I'm going to have to cut it off there, but if the panelists want to put quick responses in the chat to that question, it'd be great. And we will ask you afterwards to send around replies. There's probably a lot of people wondering if they did the right subject selection for 11 and 12, but I don't think you can get it too wrong. And I just wanted to thank all the panelists for their expertise and time. Today represented quite an amazing cross-section of opportunities across Western Sydney and trends that you also see across the state. And I really feel and hope that from the audience perspective that you got great hope that there are a lot of growing industries and amazing opportunities going forward for young people. Each of the panelists are here because they're got skill shortages and really wanting you to come into their industries going forward. So, and they're really happy to help and will continue to work with them to connect you up. So thank everyone for their time. And Judy, you've been amazing. And we look forward to hearing from you what you'd like in these sessions going forward. So thank you very much.
Jane, thanks everybody.